why do people buy NFTs? It is a mechanism for them to express what they believe in, what is an extension of them, and what they want the world to know about them, right? So when I buy, I'll just use an analogy, not from, maybe let's use CryptoPunks. You buy that because it reflects who you are, it reflects your ethos, it reflects your values, it reflects you being part of that community, right? But then what happens? That thing sits in your wallet and nobody can see it. Well, sometimes it can see it because you put it on Twitter and as your profile photo, and you're like, okay, this is my profile photo. Or if I can, I'll just go look at your address and see what everything you own over there. But the power of storytelling is missing today from NFTs. If I have 100 NFTs, I can't tell a story through them about me or why I collect them. And that is a missing element that Coinbase NFT wants to solve, which is we want to give you the first, in our opinion, the first true Web3 social profile.
Matt, Alejandro, how we doing?
Doing great.
Doing amazing, man. Glad to be back again.
Indeed. Well, we got a special episode lined up for all our lovely listeners today. We have Sanchan Saxena. He's the VP of products at Coinbase. He has a very long track record for spearheading product at some really amazing companies and is currently at the helm of the Coinbase NFT products. Prior to being the VP of products at Coinbase, he was the head of product management and GM at Airbnb. He was the founder and head of product at Instagram Shopping. He led product teams at Yahoo, Microsoft, and more. So this guy has a very, very solid understanding of how to create products that have a very seamless and impactful user experience. And I think in the NFT space, user experience can use a lot of iteration and can be a lot more seamless, especially as we really try and bring on this mainstream market. So really enjoyed having him on, speaking about what's in store with the Coinbase NFT products, how NFTs will influence consumer culture, and some, just generally speaking, principles for effective product management. What stood out to you guys?
Yeah, look, I mean, Coinbase has been such an important onboard ramp to the crypto ecosystem, and it's going to be the same for NFTs. And it's going to be a critical platform in bringing the next 100 million users into the space. So I'm excited to hear about how he's thinking about Coinbase's role in driving mainstream adoption for this technology.
Yeah, Matt, you make an excellent point with the onboarding of being so critical, Coinbase being that on-ramp. As I remember, like you and I have both bought our first Bitcoin on Coinbase back in 2014. So that was instrumental. One of the things I'm really excited about is like how Sanchan addressed the conversation around the keeping the separation of church and state on the differences between the crypto, marketplace and the NFT marketplace, and how they're going to be differentiated. Those were some really key points that I as a privacy junkie, really, really enjoyed on that capacity. And just overall, his knowledge of product is just mind blowing.
Yeah. Well, this is a really, really special episode. Very excited for you to dive in. One last point before we do so is if you haven't already, definitely want to make sure you've subscribed to our newsletter at nftnow.com. We synthesize all that's happening in the NFT landscape, market, ecosystem into a very actionable newsletter every single week on Wednesday. So if you haven't already, just go to nftnow.com. Without any further ado, Sanchan Saxena. Sanchan, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, folks.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, we're very, very excited. It's a rare episode. You got the whole NFT Now founding team. Would love, I know we're going to dive into a lot about the different products you're working on, but just to set the stage, can you talk a little bit about your journey at Coinbase and how recently it's kind of evolved into some of the stuff you're doing with NFTs?
Yeah, happy to. I joined about a year and some months ago, last year, basically. And since then, I've been focused on building the next set of products that Coinbase wants to build and to participate in the ever-growing Web3 ecosystem. So I lead products like all things related to DeFi. So when you come and earn yield on Coinbase, that's the kind of product my team builds. My team also builds NFT marketplace. As you might have heard, we are in the process of building and launching that. And in essence, when we think about the ever-growing Web3 ecosystem, there are lots of new opportunities, both adjacent to Coinbase's current business line, but also net new opportunities where we think we can add tremendous value. So that's my radar of focus, so to say. And that's where me and my team spend a lot of my time.
Love that. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about just like what inspires you about NFTs in general, and what's sort of the mission behind bringing Coinbase NFT to market.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's such a new, or rather, such an early innings in NFT that different people are in it for different reasons. We'll tell you why we are excited about it. So traditionally, if you think about the creator economy and all the artists that are part of that, they've had to live with the Web2 moniker of how to reach their audience, how to connect with them, how to build their community, and how to then monetize their art, their music, etc. When you think about the NFT technology, it is, first of all, it's not just limited to profile photos. As you all know, it can be applied to many, many different technologies. Profile photos are just the first incarnation. The reason why we look at this and feel like the creators now, for the first time, have the power dynamics flipped in their favor. So let me give you two concrete examples over here. One is that the creator now, for the first time, has a direct relationship with their audience. The intermediary, and let's talk about a few things. Let's say you're on YouTube, you're on Instagram, or you're on any other platform. You're actually going through an intermediary, which is fine because they're doing demand aggregation for you. However, at the end of the day, you don't own that relationship. If you leave YouTube, basically you leave all your followers behind, all your buyers behind, so to say. But in this world of NFT, you have a relationship on chain with those people because you know who those buyers are and you're connected with them. And you can take them wherever you want to take them with you. Two, the relationship has evolved. I mean, there's a law in America, I forget the exact name of the law, but it's like the law of first sale or something, where the idea is that after you sell something, Sam, if you sell me something, or Matt, if you sell me something, after that, if I sell it to anybody else, you have no right to the earnings from there. But NFTs flip that, where for my entire lifetime, if I sell an art from Sam or Matt or Alejandro, I will owe X% of royalty back to them. So that earning potential is also very, very large for the artist. So we are in this to completely revolutionize. And as you know, we are the technology provider. We are not an artist community. Coinbase is the technology company. And our focus is how can we make the technology that empowers these creatives to reach their full potential by focusing on what matters to them the most, which is their art, their music, etc. And we build a platform, the technology pieces that help them realize their potential.
That's incredibly fascinating, Sanchan. So you've spoken about the go-to-market strategy and the importance of NFTs right now, but what's in store for Coinbase NFT? What does that entail?
Yeah, I think there are lots of exciting things we're working on. So first and foremost thing is we are building this by leveraging the power of the blockchain technology itself. So let me explain that a little bit. You can take two approaches. You can take an approach where, well, blockchain is cumbersome, too technology intensive. Let's build a closed loop ecosystem where everything is off chain and people can buy and sell very easily. That would be a Web2 equivalent of building an NFT marketplace. We're not doing that. We are actually embracing the idiosyncrasies and the positives and the negatives of the blockchain technology and bringing it to the customer base in a way that they can still participate in that. So how does this manifest? If you participate in Coinbase NFT, all your NFTs are on chain. We store all your metadata on IPFS, not in centralized servers of Coinbase or on IPFS, which is a decentralized technology base for you to store metadata of your NFTs as well. So we want to bring all of that decentralized power, the power of provenance for the artist on chain. Two, on the consumer side, let's say my mom wants to participate in NFT. We want to make it so easy that a caveman can do it. What I mean by that is, if you just to give you an analogy, if you ever buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, it takes 3 steps to buy Bitcoin. And by the way, it takes 3 steps to buy tomatoes in Instacart. It's that easy, And the idea being that you should be able to come to our interface and as a regular a buyer of music NFTs or profile photo NFTs, whatever that might be, you should not have to worry about the jargon and the technology artifacts associated with that. So when you come to Coinbase NFT, it'll be super easy for you to connect your wallet. Or if you are one of the 72 million registered users of Coinbase, you will not even have to do that because you already have an account, you already have a wallet with Coinbase, and you'll just be able to buy and then custody those NFTs in the safe environments of Coinbase as well. And you will never have to worry about, is my NFT protected or not? So those two places are really important for us. One, on the creator side, give them full control, give them full provenance on the blockchain, but on the consumer side, make it so easy that anybody can participate in buying NFTs as well.
That's really interesting. I love the focus and the intentionality on ramping and the easeability of use and purchasing, because I think, you guys have such a massive user base that you guys are onboarding through this process. With that said, what are some of the differentiations that the marketplace will have from, the other existing marketplaces that it's going to differentiate you guys from, the current competitors in the landscape?
Yeah, great question. One thing I want to mention in the previous answer as well is that imagine a place where you can actually buy NFTs with dollars. That's a powerful ecosystem for many who do not want to convert into ETH or Ethereum or some of those as well. So that'll be part of the offering as well. So when we think about the landscape, a couple of things I want to clarify. First of all, the NFT pie is an ever-growing pie. There's like massive opportunities for everybody. I don't think this is a scenario where one person will control everything. And by the way, you can look at the history of internet as well. I mean, there was eBay that was very successful in the early days, captured a lot of market, but then there were many new incarnations that verticalized that industry and actually innovated on that. So I want to set that stage clearly. We don't want to come in from that mindset. What we are coming as a mindset is there are a certain set of creators, and then there are a certain set of users who will benefit from the product ethos of Coinbase. And if we provide those experiences to them, these people tend to be people who are on the buyer side, tend to be people who love to participate in art, love to participate in music NFTs, but just do not want or do not have the ability or time to understand the nuances of it. So on ramp to that will be very easy. You will be able to set up an account very easily, set up a wallet, and find and buy NFTs very, very easily. That's the superpower of our company. We want to make the slickest, the most beautiful UI, the most beautiful experience possible for someone to participate. The other thing you might have heard a lot is like self-custody is a big revolution in Web3 world, and we want to support that. So if you have a MetaMask wallet or if you have a Coinbase wallet, you'll be able to participate there as well. But vast majority, I almost believe the next 100 million users that will come into the NFT domain will love somebody to actually custody those millions of dollars of NFTs somewhere. And I think that is another superpower, or that's another differentiating factor.
Can you just define what that means for people that might not be as familiar?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. So in crypto / Web3, the movement is that you own your own keys and you have the key to the locker in which you are storing your NFTs or your Bitcoin or your Ethereum. And that's a very powerful movement where you are your own bank, you are your own custodian, and you are able to hold everything on your own. However, there's also power to be had where a company like Coinbase or others as well in the marketplace can actually keep those things on your behalf in a custodial solution that is highly secure, is highly scalable, and is trustworthy in the sense that it's protected. Everything you put in there is protected. So that's the solution that we have helped 73 million registered users of Coinbase be able to leverage when they buy Bitcoin, when they buy Ethereum. You don't have to necessarily manage your private keys. You don't have to be your own bank. You can trust Coinbase to be that person for you. So that's the power of Coinbase that we also want to apply to NFTs. Now, just to be very clear, we will support both the movements. The movement of self-custody, where people want to be their own bank and want to custody that using MetaMask, Coinbase Wallet, etc. And at the same time, help the 72 million registered users who have trusted Coinbase with their Bitcoin, Ethereum for many years to also trust us with their NFTs as well.
Amazing. Love that. I think, and just love a lot of the intentionality that you're really bringing to this as to how you really want to interplay with the ecosystem at large, not necessarily try and monopolize anything, but really just contribute and bring forth a way to really on-ramp a whole new market, which is what's really exciting to us. I think the general consumer is very deterred by the current user experience of getting on it. Even a lot of the Web3 consumers are still deterred and just willing to roll up their sleeves and push through the actual process. So I think that having that at the forefront of the product is very important and valuable. I think one question I have too is the social and discovery side of this experience, right? I think historically, a lot of people, as they talk about NFTs, talk on the side of identity and being able to showcase and have this digital identity, and now bringing this sense of digital ownership into your social identity online. And then I think the social and discoverability are very synonymous to an extent, because how I am expressing my stuff to you will also lead to your experience of discovering other NFTs and other products you want to support. So I'm very curious how you're thinking of involving discovery and the social components of this experience.
Yeah, I think you hit something. I think you hit something. Can you guys still hear me? Yeah, I think you hit something really important. And this is one of our theses when we are building this marketplace. So let me use some analogies. And again, apologies, analogies break at some point. So I'll push the analogies as far as I can, and then we'll talk specific. Why do people buy NFTs? It is a mechanism for them to express what they believe in, what is an extension of them, and what they want the world to know about them. Right. So when I buy, I'll just use an analogy, not from maybe let's use CryptoPunks. You buy that because it reflects who you are, it reflects your ethos, it reflects your values, it reflects you being part of that community, right? But then what happens? That thing sits in your wallet and nobody can see it. Well, sometimes it can see it because you put it on Twitter and as your profile photo, and you're like, okay, this is my profile photo. Or if I can, I'll just go look at your address and see what everything you own over there. But the power of storytelling is missing today from NFTs. If I have 100 NFTs, I can't tell a story through them about me or why I collect them. And that is a missing element that Coinbase NFT wants to solve, which is we want to give you the first, in our opinion, the first true Web3 social profile of an individual who owns NFTs. So you can showcase NFTs to the world. So what will happen that you will be able to connect multiple wallets that you have, multiple NFT addresses that you have, and curate one profile for Sunshine, right? And then be able to say, look, here are all my NFTs. Here's why I bought them. Here's who I am. This is what they represent. And that thing is hidden in a wallet. I mean, I always joke about this. Imagine someone told you the only way for me to know what Sam is to look at his Google Drive. Like, oh, let me open the Google Drive and see everything he has. Oh, no, that's not the case. That is the equivalent today. It's like, I got to open up your address and see everything that's inside of it. No, I can actually go to your LinkedIn. I can go to your Twitter. I can go to your Facebook and actually see a lot more about you. And you can curate who you are through the power of these visuals. So we believe that is missing in Web3 today. And we think Coinbase has a really good shot at actually creating that canonical Web3 profile where you can connect behind the scene all your wallets, and we can pull that over and showcase one profile to you. And just as a reminder, we are going to be a multi-chain platform, so you can connect your NFTs from Solana, from Ethereum, from Polygon, from anywhere, right? And you can have one profile to showcase everything that you own to your friends and family. The second piece is that undiscoverability, Sam, that you talked about. It's really important. Today, if you want to discover NFTs, you randomly stumble upon those things, right? I mean, you don't know a lot of those things. So we think we can borrow some inspiration from other platforms to actually build a discovery platform on Coinbase NFT, where the most popular NFTs, the NFTs that matter to you, come to you. I'll give people an analogy. When you want to buy toilet paper, you can use a search engine. You go to Amazon.com, type in toilet paper, it'll give you all the toilet paper because there's no inspiration behind it. But remember, when you want to buy something inspiring, and let's say a Lamborghini or a sweater or anything else, a search is not the right answer. Inspiration is the right answer. And search box is really bad for inspiring people. And we've seen that in Web 2 as well, and we've seen that other places as well. And what we believe is powerful is a social network where I get to know what Sam is interested in, what he's buying, what Matt is buying, what Alejandro is buying, and be inspired and learn from them. And then say, oh, wow, that NFT represents me too, and I want to buy that too. So that discoverability angle through social will be super powerful.
Absolutely. Thinking back, Coinbase has been such an important onboard ramp for so many in this ecosystem. I bought my first Bitcoin back in 2013 on Coinbase, and amazing. I think that a lot of people will be buying their first ever NFTs on Coinbase as well. And I know there's a lot of excitement in the NFT space, and much has been made of this 3+ million user waiting list for Coinbase NFT. I don't know what the latest number is. I'm sure it's even higher. But I'm curious to get your sense, knowing Coinbase's user base, what is your sense for sort of the typical user profile that has signed up for this? Are they first-time users? Are they active crypto traders? Just curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it's all of the above, actually. And I chatted with some of those who have signed up for our wait list as well. We have people who've signed up who've been buying NFTs for 2-3 years now. They were the early adopters of the NFT revolution back in 2017, 2018, and they bought their CryptoPunk back then. So some of them are actually people who've been deeply engaged in the ecosystem and are looking for better products out there that they can leverage as well. And then we have a bunch of people for whom this will be the first time that they're going to buy NFT, Matt, to your point, and we are excited to serve them as well. The key element over here is that the easier we make for people to participate in the NFT ecosystem, the higher likelihood we have to get it to the masses. Like one of our mission is, take the crypto benefits of cryptocurrencies, NFTs, etc., and bring it to the masses. And that while we play a role of on-ramp, we also play a role where we bring all this innovation to our users as well in the easiest to use format. So I'm very excited about both the type of users who's going to use Coinbase NFT. We have the power users who've been using NFTs for a while, and we have a lot of users who are like, this is going to be the easiest way for me to participate in the NFT revolution.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And based on your knowledge of that user base, I know we can't speak to when this will go live, but what are your expectations in terms of that user behavior once it does go live? Like, what are you sort of expecting to see from users on Coinbase?
Yeah, I think what we're expecting or hoping at least to see happen is we expect that a lot of the amazing NFTs that exist today will all of a sudden have a wider brand awareness, if I can borrow that word, amongst the masses, amongst the regular user of Coinbase. And so that is one big goal that we have, is like, how can we take the Mooncats, the Ghosts, the other NFT creations and bring it into the top mental recall of people who are using Coinbase as well. And two, what we're expecting and what we're really, really, really excited about is that we should start to see the NFT community being formed on Coinbase NFT and connecting with each other. Today, this is what happens, right? You're selling on any platform, but you're building your community in Discord, on Twitter, etc. So what we're hoping is that the Coinbase NFT platform, because you can follow a profile, you can actually connect with them, and you can actually see what they're buying and selling, you can actually start to form that community right there. So we are hoping brands and creators will be able to have a community right on that platform with so many registered users who will join this movement.
And I think too, I mean, this is super exciting, and like we're all very excited, as I'm sure most of our listeners. I'm curious to abstract a bit into just the future of NFTs and mainstream consumer culture. Just look at what happens in a couple of years, 5-10 years, as mainstream adoption becomes a thing. Like, do you feel like this will become a standard part of consumer culture? People, like, I know you worked on Instagram shopping, and like that's a mainstream shopping product. Like, do you feel like the average consumer will start to engage and shop for NFTs?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes, and I'll share why I believe that to be the case. But before I do that, I'll share a couple of observations, which is that with every new technology, the initial phase of euphoria with any new technology is of experimentation. And so you're going to see a lot of experimentation. We're seeing profile photos as a great mechanism to experiment with NFTs. But just as you guys know, NFT technology is not limited to that. You can create music NFTs. You can create a bunch of different things. So what I see happening in the next year or two is a verticalization of NFTs. So you can, and this is, I'm saying this on your podcast for the first time, but like, I believe music NFTs will be huge, huge, with the 2 U's in there, it's going to be massive. And I'm very excited about that market. So what I mean by that is the first trend you're going to see in 2022 and onwards is that verticalization. I call it verticalization, which is, just to use an analogy for your audience, imagine Amazon selling books, and then it went into CDs and it went into other things, right? Because the online technology became sophisticated enough for you to buy anything, right? It's the same thing over here. I expect verticalization happening. So from profile photos to photography to music NFTs to others will happen a lot. And I think 2022 will set that stage. Beyond that, I also think we will see a new set of participants join this revolution. So the NFT revolution started because a bunch of crypto enthusiasts, crypto aficionados, if you may, like CryptoPunks, Meebits, etc. All these people came together and started building NFTs for their purposes only in the beginning, right? And that's typically how revolutions start. But you're going to see brands jump in. You're going to see Adidas, Nike, Anheuser-Busch, etc., jumping in to leverage this as a means to driving customer loyalty. I mean, it's very clear when I was looking at some of the photos from NYC NFT. I mean, there were lines of people wearing Bored Ape Yacht Club T-shirts in New York, wanting to get in and participate in those offline real world events. So I see brands absolutely capitalizing. And because of those two things, and the third thing being companies like Coinbase, who have the onus and the responsibility and the desire to make it so easy that anybody can participate in this. If we do our job right and if we simplify the technology complexity, the onboarding of those users will be much easier. So these three movements make me very bullish that we will find niche for everybody. If I love music and I love music NFTs, I'm coming in. I didn't like the Bored Ape Yacht Club maybe, but I might like a music NFT. And the fact that brands are bringing in and the use cases are evolving from just buying and holding to actually real world outcomes is very fascinating. So if we ever meet again in 2023, and talk about this in 2024 and talk about this, I'm pretty sure every chart will be up and to the right, and you will see mass adoption, because this is inherently what humankind has done for years. They've always bought things that represent them, their values, their ethos, and this is just a new way to buy that thing again.
Yeah, fully agree with that. I love what you spoke to about humans. Everyone's always bought their beliefs and placed value there, and this is just a digital version of that.
It's just a digital version of that.
That's right. I know you mentioned that Coinbase NFT will have multi-chain support. I know you mentioned Solana as an example. I'm curious, what other chains are you looking at there, and what does sort of like the timeline look like there?
I think what we try to do is we try to follow the customer, so to say, as an analogy to describe what we believe in. So we're seeing a lot of activity on Ethereum, just like everybody. So Ethereum is our starting point. We believe some of the historical NFTs as well as the new generation is also happening there. But we also are very cognizant of the activity that's happening on Solana, on Polygon, Flow, Tezos, and others as well. So we're keeping our eye. And what we want to do is we listen to our customers and want to build the best product for them. And as our customers dictate where their demand is moving, we will continue to be one step ahead of that to help them meet that demand. So I would say you can see us in the next 6 months or so adopt more and more chains as fast as we can.
Cool. No, that makes a lot of sense. And what are your thoughts too? Just curious to hear your thoughts too on, as someone who is looking to onboard a lot of new users. There's a lot of discussion about L2s and potentially other L1s being more like newcomer friendly due to gas fees. So just curious, like what your thesis is there.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely right. That a lot of users today view gas fee as an impediment to adopting NFTs. And I think even Vitalik has said that probably Ethereum is not like layer one is not the right place for NFTs to explode. Maybe we should look at L2s as well. And I think that's the right thesis, is that today one of the biggest impediments is the gas fees. I mean, you can see all the memes on Twitter about, oh my God, I paid $1,200 in gas fee. So there's definitely that challenge. So what I would say is, you will see a bunch of L2s, like Polygon has shown. They have onboarded, if you look at the data, they've onboarded a lot more new users in the last 6 months to the NFT ecosystem and the Ethereum ecosystem overall, because of the not so much of a high gas fee for them. So we will continue to support that movement as well. But having said that, I think there is something about Ethereum and the community over there. If you look at all the creators, they're passionate about seeing Ethereum win, and they put all, so to say, eggs in the same basket in terms of creating their next NFT on Ethereum. So I don't see Ethereum going anywhere. I see all the top collections still being created on Ethereum. The trick over here would be, how do we deliver value? Any artist who's trying to create a new collection, please remember, you got to deliver value to your community, and that is really, really important. And they will come to you even if they're paying $120 in gas fee if they find value. So I'm very bullish on Ethereum as well, and continue to see L2s and other L1s like Solana's also see activity over time.
That's incredibly fascinating. That loving that capacity, and so in that age of protecting the consumer and making sure that the consumer has an incredibly great experience. What do you feel like the future of NFTs and mainstream consumer culture look like through the lens of Coinbase?
I think NFTs in 2021 have penetrated culture to an extent that I did not anticipate happening before. I believe in 2022 and onwards, we're going to have to move at the speed of culture. The way cultural revolutions happen is this happen very slow in the beginning, and then they happen very fast after that, right? So the last 2 or 3 years, NFT, not NFT, etc. But I started seeing a lot of let's just call them people who are not crypto native, be actually participating in the NFT revolution. When I saw the excitement in Miami, Art Basel, and NYC NFT as well. So I see a lot of that already happening. The way I think about culture being impacted is I think we need to now start thinking about where is it that people start to spend time and their resources in advocating for their success. I think music NFTs will be a great revolution over there. There's a stat from Spotify who said that the average artist or the topmost artist made like $50,000 a year after having 23 million Spotify streams. That is just fundamentally broken, So, and as you all know, music is an essence of every culture and every civilization out there, and people love their music. People love supporting their artists. So I think in 2022, if music NFTs take off the way we are hoping they will, we will be further embedded into culture. And Coinbase's role over there would be to make all of this possible. Build the right ecosystem, build the right on-ramps, make it easy so anybody can participate in that. That would be the thing. I love to lead with culture and less by technology. We can build all sorts of technology, but if the culture doesn't adopt that technology, nothing's going to happen. So I'm really looking forward to the leading indicators here, which is music NFTs that are beyond profile photos and actually tying them to real-world outcomes will be the two major revolutions that will bring more and more consumers into the NFT ecosystem.
Yeah, no, I love that, and very excited for what's shaping up to be a very strong year for music NFTs in 2022. I think, and I mean, that's just an exciting industry too, where it really empowers the creators of culture, which is the kind of critical part of our mission here at NFT Now, empower the creators of culture and foster mainstream adoption around NFTs. And I think it's cool because not only is it's just the perfect example of how artists sometimes have been a bit marginalized relative to some of the other institutions at play, and how Web3 as a movement in technology can really bring back lots of power to those creators and create a more equitable model. So
and Sam, if I can share a stat. I mean, look, in the Web2 world, the platforms could take as little as 30% to as much as 90% of the earnings and keep it with themselves. And if you look at the NFT ecosystem, the highest any platform is charging is 2.5%.
Yeah.
Right. So then other 97.5% is going to the creator.
Right.
And two, not just the first time, like I was mentioning, but repetitively, recursively for future. Right. And that has fundamentally shifted the incentive mechanisms. I also predict that a lot more people would want to be musicians. A lot more people would want to be photographers now. A lot more people would want to be artists now because they see it becoming a career and life fulfilling dream of theirs coming through life through NFTs as well. And not be like, I made it from art perspective, but I can't make it from a bank account perspective.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean that's where this gets really interesting and exciting at scale, because like you look at like Maslow's hierarchy of needs and how for many self-actualization is a very like privileged place to get, and like there needs to be a lot of privilege in your life to even get there. But now there's like this opportunity for a better economic model for creative prosperity. So without getting too like woo-woo, like society can in theory start to reach the self-actualization, and creatives can create for themselves and for their communities. We've seen even within the current iteration, before music NFTs have truly taken off, there's lots of the breakout artists have been doing their services as commission to brands, creating a Nike commercial with their 3D design talent, but now can actually like creatively express themselves, and then they are just so much more fulfilled by being able to have their own creative outlet, not just have to sell their services.
Absolutely. And the distribution power is amazing. I mean, internet, first of all, gave everybody distribution power to billions of people. You can put up a website and you can reach a billion people. But NFTs give you even more, because if you can build the right community around your art, around your music, you have one other power economic that, at least in my mind, is very exciting. You look at a company like Patreon, great company. It has helped artists generate micropayments like $5 a month to support my stand-up comedian, up-and-coming stand-up comedian or up-and-coming artist, right? And what NFTs allow you to do is you can actually participate by supporting the early journey of an artist when they become big later on. That part was very hard to do in other technologies. So I can support an up-and-coming artist because I believe in their work, and one day when they become big and they are successful because others believe in that too, I also win because I supported them initially. So in my mind, we're seeing a dynamic where, if I can borrow this analogy, every fan can be a VC.
Yeah.
They can actually invest in an artist that they believe in.
Yeah.
And help them build a business.
No, I mean, it gets crazy too. And even just that level of like ownership, like actually having ownership as a fan creates a deeper sense of ambassadorship as well. So even we're all in business and think about referral engines and virality, right? Like now there's this actual deeper connection of authentic and true ownership of your fandom and of the artists you want to support. So and even outside of just like the art, I mean, it starts to just for like different niche communities. Think about the metaphor historically of different, like how there used to be, and you speak about like this verticalized nature, kind of citing Amazon and CDs, like think about every niche forum that has existed to date, right? Not even necessarily different pillars of art, but these are just generally speaking, general communities united around a shared topic of interest. So it all gets very exciting as we create new models of engagement and financial prosperity for fandom, not only for different art, but for different topics of interest and passion.
That's right. And these fans, these true 100 or 1,000 fans of yours are going to become your biggest marketing machinery as well. They're going to be vocal about you. They're going to help you grow as well. So I just love this new symbiotic relationship between the buyer and the seller, so to say, if I may use that analogy, versus back in the day when I just wanted free music, and people were just stealing music and stealing art. And that is no longer necessary because the incentives on both sides can be aligned very, very effectively.
No, it makes total sense. And look, I know you have a long track record for heading product development, products used by millions, from Instagram to Airbnb, now Coinbase. And I feel like given your lens and your understanding of product, like as we mentioned, the UX for a lot of these Web3 NFT projects really leaves a lot to be desired. I think it's one of the biggest impediments towards fostering mainstream adoption. So I'm curious to hear, what do you feel like is your process for sort of developing these sort of more seamless and intuitive UX user experiences within good products?
Yeah, I think we are absolutely missing the Apple of Web3. We are absolutely missing that. But jokes aside, I mean, I have a lot of admiration for what they've done in other industries, but you can apply similar principles in anything you work on. And I'll give you some of our thesis on how we build products and how we think about building these products. Number one is you got to work backwards from your user rather than working forward from a technology. Oftentimes what happens is, this is all the technology you can do. This is the user experience you can build on top of it, and boom, you take it to the market. Rather work backwards from your customer and understand what truly are their needs, what truly are the problems that they're experimenting, and then invent the technology needed to actually solve for that. And I'll give you a very specific example here from Coinbase's history. I mean, I still believe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's easy to buy Bitcoin on Coinbase than it is to buy in many other places, primarily because we held a very high bar for what the technology investments we want to make it so easy that the UI layer can then be innovated upon very, very quickly. So I think that's number one principle for us is always work backwards from the customer. The second principle I'll tell you is this is something that I learned from Brian Chesky, who's the founder of Airbnb, and he's a designer, at heart, and he's a CEO as well, but a designer at heart. He used to say, design the 15 out of 10 experience for your customer. So let's talk about it for a second. A 15 out of 10 experience would be you show up at an Airbnb and Oprah is welcoming. I don't know, some crazy shit. It's like, oh my God, this is out of the world kind of an experience, right? but probably not possible at scale, right? You can't have Oprah everywhere, as an example, right? But most companies, what they do is, what most product people, what they do is they start out with a 7 out of 10 experience. It's like, okay, what can I ship? What can I build? What can I quickly do? And what ends up happening is that is always disappoints the customer around there. So for us, it's really important that we take our time, understand the user's need, and then design the ideal experience for our customers, and then work backwards from there to actually ship something that we'll be proud of and that people will advocate for. And this is something that I'm really, really passionate about as well. Don't just throw 10,000 things at the wall and see which one sticks. Actually, take your time. Be intentional about your design choices. Be intentional about what you want the user to experience, and that then ship that product that people will fall in love with. I always tell my friends is that your product. If you play with any product, Matt, you will notice one thing. You can look at the product and actually see the choices that people who made the product made, and the values that they have when they make those choices, right? Because every choice you make is a proxy for what you value. If you don't do X, that means you don't value some of those things behind that, right? So I think it's really important to focus on that. And we are very excited. And again, the jury is still out. We'll see how we do when we launch the product and how much people like it or hate it. But we are hopeful that everything that we've learned in our experience, we can build a super product for people, and that they will love, and hopefully will continue to use it over time.
Absolutely love that, and very, very excited to see it come to market. I think too, one thing I want to probe on deeper in that kind of the design journey as a product leader. I know earlier on in our conversation, you mentioned that you'd actually kind of spoken with some of the people that were on the Coinbase NFT waiting list. And I think
right.
In like product development, this notion of customer development, really getting a deeper understanding of customer needs, goals, pains, desires, is at the forefront. So I'd be curious for you just to talk a little bit about how customer development works its way into your process for product development.
Yeah, I actually have, I would say in the last 9 months, I've practically chatted with every NFT. Take the top 200 collections right now. I've chatted with all the founders of those collections and deeply understood in one-on-one fashion what motivates them and why are they doing what they're doing and what are some of their pain points around there. I think it's very easy to sit in some ivory tower and think what the community needs and ship it and fall flat on that. I think it's really, really important. So we've talked to hundreds of customers, we've talked to hundreds of creators as well, and what we've learned from them are the key pain points that they have. And what I'll tell the audience is that the job is to understand their pain points, not to understand the solution that they're advocating, because oftentimes customers don't know what they want, right? They just know they have a problem. They want that problem to be solved. And it is our responsibility as product people and engineers and designers to then design the right solution that solves their problem in the most effective way as well. So the customer development journey over here is such that I want to immerse myself in Discord. I want to immerse myself in chatting one-on-one with these creators. I've chatted with CryptoPunks founders. I've chatted with everybody out there to understand what their pain points are, and then go back to the design board and challenge all assumptions. Oftentimes what ends up happening is when you're making art, when you're making product, when you're doing whatever, you sometimes operate with a lot of assumptions. You operate with a lot of constraints. And I think what I advocate is start with first principles, start with a blank slate, design the most ideal experience and the ideal solution first without constraints. Then over time, you can lay in the constraints to ship it. But in the first initial journey, you got to design without constraints as well. So that has been our journey. That's been our process. Understand a lot of the pain points, go back, challenge all assumptions of technology, challenge all assumptions of product, and then innovate on behalf of those customers.
I love that. And, I think a lot has been made of the idea of NFTs being a gateway for people into crypto. Even anecdotally, I've seen my friends and people, my industry contacts who I'd previously spoken to about crypto and the like, didn't really pay it much attention, but NFTs have made it impossible to ignore. So I'm curious in your approach when you think about your user base and growing Coinbase NFT. You have your existing user base that at least has some sort of experience in setting up a wallet and crypto, even if it's very surface level. And then you have a lot of new people who are probably joining Coinbase in real time right now because they want to get Ethereum or whatever to buy NFTs. How do you think about those two kind of like those user bases, and then also like existing, users who are kind of down the rabbit hole, who are savvy in trading and the like? It's a lot of different kind of consumer mindsets to address. So I'm just curious to hear how you build like one product that serves them all.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And oftentimes when you build one product to serve everybody, you don't serve anybody.
True.
Because you have diluted the product so much that nobody finds value in it. So a couple of things I'll share in terms of principles. I think it is our thesis, and I strongly believe in this thesis, that the next 100 million people who will onboard to Web3 would care less to learn about the technology foundation. Would care even less than the first 100 million that came on board, as an example. And it's really important because they're coming here to buy a piece of NFT, buy art, buy music. And they're coming here because that is what represents them. They're not interested in learning about the details and the jargons behind the technology. So it becomes really important that for the next 100 million users, we simplify the technology drastically. And so we're focused on doing two things. One is understand who those users are, what level of comfort they will have with the technology, and then abstract away some of the technological terms in ways that they can understand. I'll give you an example of gas fees. We all know what taxes are, right? We all know when you buy from Amazon, there's a shipping tax, there's a sales tax, etc. Can we start to use the language of these customers so we can translate gas into something that they can understand? And you can do that in the product UI. You can do it in the language you describe it, as opposed to using very technically heavy, jargony kind of languages that may or may not appeal to this audience. So that's an example, Matt, where you can take complex topics, but translate that in a language that they understand. For the people who are already familiar with crypto and are willing to go through the hoops to actually buy that, I would still argue nobody will resist a better solution there. Even though they're comfortable setting up a wallet, et cetera, if you come up with a better solution, they will still love it, right? Because it's making it easier for them, right? So what we're starting with are people, the next 100 million users that we want to bring to the NFT ecosystem, excessively focused on how do we make it simple for them and familiar for them so they can feel not alienated in this new world. And on the other side, for the artists and creators, we want to build tools and systems that will empower and unleash creativity very easily. So for example, when you want to mint something, when you want to actually list it and manage your auctions, you want to make that experience very, very simple for a creator. So you can focus on actual music. You can actually focus on the creation and not worry about how to manage all this stuff, how to split royalties. How do I make sure that the royalty comes to me in the right way? We'll abstract away all of those things. So that's our focus, Matt, as opposed to focusing on the power users who already understand crypto right now, because we know this product will work for them as well over time.
Absolutely love that. No, and I think it's critical for the education and onboarding. And in that vein, as we kind of come towards a close, 2022, we're just kind of coming off the end of what was a truly explosive year for NFTs. And I think, if anything, those amidst a landscape of products with horrible usability, candidly, from a mainstream adoption perspective, I think this is a very necessary stepping stone in the process. And generally, when you think about early adopters of technology, these are the people willing to push through the different pain points in a suboptimal user experience. But I think in tandem, we've been seeing lots of really fascinating builders build and lay foundations that will bring on the mainstream market, like yourself. So when we think about like 2022, what's your outlook as far as just the general continued growth and adoption for the space and how it penetrates different industries? Yeah,
I think, it's very hard to predict anything in crypto because it's such a fun ride. I'll just stay at that fun ride. It's a fun ride. It's hard to predict. But if all things being equal, I would say you should see a couple of things materialize in 2022. One is, I think you're going to see a lot more people willing to experiment and participate in the different genres of NFT. Like I'm very bullish. You're going to see someone who's excited about music coming in. You're going to see someone who's excited about Bored Ape Yacht Club coming in as well. But at the same time, you will see much more vertical use cases happen in 2022. So that's one prediction I have. By 2022, we will not just be talking about PFPs. We'll be talking about a bunch more. The second thing I would say is that I think the idea of social and NFT will truly manifest in 2022. We will truly see products embrace the social layer of connecting followers or fans with artists in every platform. My prediction is by the end of 2022, there is nothing like eBay in Web3, meaning a pure e-commerce experience. Every e-commerce experience will have a social layer around it as well. So that's what I'm predicting as well. And so you will see everybody. And again, I'm not saying they will go full length, but they will bring elements of social where you discover things through people. Your discovery vector is not just search, but Sam, Matt, and Alejandro, and I discover through them, and I'm able to build my community over there. And the last thing I'll leave you all with is hopefully, if everything goes well with the wallet technology that's being invented, people's comfort level with custodying $1 million worth of NFTs will become very comfortable with that. This idea that they get hacked, etc., will continue to happen, just like it happens in Web 2 as well. Right? I mean, you go to a random website, they can install bad shit on your laptop, right? That's happening over there, but you feel comfortable still browsing the internet. I think more and more people will feel much more comfortable browsing the NFT ecosystem because both the platforms and the wallet technology will get superior and superior, and what you hold in your wallet will become much more safer over time.
Tanchan, what an incredible interview, and thank you so much for the insights, the forward-looking aspects of this huge movement within Coinbase. So we really appreciate your time. You're always a guest, always welcomed on the podcast. We'd love to have you once this thing goes live, so we can navigate the world in terms of deeper nuances and getting a little bit more tactical in terms of usability and things of that nature. Your thoughts on product and product development were really, really golden today. So really appreciate your time, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, folks.
Damn, that was a great conversation, man. Sanchan with the bars. Sanchan is a very, very incredible, super smart person. I think it's great to have somebody that has this foundational level of human-centered design thinking at the forefront of such an impactful product. I think there's no doubt that when Coinbase rolls out their NFT product, this very much will be the on-ramp for millions of people. I think, Matt, you said it very well. And Coinbase was the first place many people bought crypto, going to be the first place where many people bought their NFT. And I think just having this intuitive, this seamless user experience at the forefront, but then also paying homage and making sure that it's not just this big centralized company trying to monopolize the whole landscape and going directly against the ethos of the whole Web3 movement, and making sure that it is an open platform and that it does leverage a lot of the core ethos and functionality of what a decentralized web can look like, with Coinbase's just resources helping make this possible. So really excited and inspired me. What stood out to you guys?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that the fact that, it's going to be multi-chain, the fact that he named a number of chains that are going to be on it, I'm sure that's going to be exciting news for those ecosystems as well. I think that just like we've seen Coinbase, listings really materially affect markets. I think, different projects and different chains getting added to Coinbase NFT is also going to be a really significant thing to keep an eye on as we move forward, because it's going to open those ecosystems up to the masses. Be really interesting to see if this changes how users view, for example, Solana NFTs, Tezos NFTs, when they're all together in one place. And we know that's a trend that's going to be affecting other major marketplaces outside of just Coinbase as well.
Yeah, very spot on, Matt. And to me, what really stood out was the intentionality behind the Coinbase NFT marketplace. He was mentioning to us that he spoke to so many creators, hundreds of creators, hundreds of artists, hundreds of platformers, collectors. There's so much intentionality behind that. And, us being in the space, we've heard from the grapevine, from our friends, our colleagues, that they've been asked by Coinbase to go in and give feedback. So what he was saying was actually backed up by the community in our independent conversations. And really, I love the curation that he brings to product development, and the intentionality around the 3-click concept is really, really powerful. You know, when you go on Coinbase, you buy that crypto, it's in 3 clicks. I never realized how seamless that was until he called it out. So having that seamless ability to be able to purchase an NFT, you know, I'm just kind of excited to see what my sister does with it, because my sister's kind of like my canary in the cave. So if my sister buys her first NFT to Coinbase, then we'll know that we've definitely hit the beginning of mainstream. Super excited for that.
Yeah, well, there it is. There you have it. You couldn't necessarily spill the beans as far as the release timing, but we know that it's coming soon, and we'll leave it at that. But I appreciate you all for tuning in. As always, we'll be back next week. Until then, we out.